The 1-minute soil test you can do at home, your gateway to garden success. Fellow gardeners, let me share something that changed my entire approach to growing plants. Understanding what's actually happening beneath the surface. You don't need expensive lab tests or fancy equipment to unlock the secrets hiding in your soil. With just a mason jar and a few minutes of your time, you can discover whether your garden soil is working for you or against you. Why this simple test will transform your garden. Your soil is the foundation of everything that grows in your garden, yet most of us treat it like an afterthought. We focus on the pretty flowers and vegetables above ground while ignoring the complex ecosystem that determines whether our plants will thrive or merely survive. The truth is, you can't fix what you don't understand, and understanding your soil texture is the first step toward becoming a truly successful gardener. When you know whether your soil is predominantly sand, silt, or clay, you unlock the ability to make informed decisions about plant selection, watering schedules, and soil amendments. This knowledge transforms you from someone who gardens by guesswork into someone who gardens with purpose and precision. The mason jar method, your window into soil structure. The jar test, also known as the soil sedimentation test, works on a simple principle. Different soil particles have different weights and settle at different rates when suspended in water. This creates distinct layers that reveal your soil's composition in stunning visual detail. Start by collecting soil samples from various areas of your garden, choosing spots where you plan to plant or where you've noticed plants struggling. Remove any obvious debris like twigs, leaves, or stones, but don't worry about getting every tiny piece out. You want a representative sample of what your plant's roots actually encounter. Fill a clear mason jar about halfway with your soil sample. The jar needs to be large enough to create distinct layers but small enough that you can shake it vigorously. Add water until the jar is about 3/4 full, leaving room for agitation. Here's where many people make their first mistake. They add too much water, which dilutes the sample and makes the layers harder to distinguish. Add just 1 drop of liquid dish soap to help separate the particles more effectively. The soap acts as a dispersing agent, preventing the soil particles from clumping together and giving you more accurate results. Without this small addition, clay particles especially tend to stick together, skewing your results toward a sandier reading than your soil actually possesses. Now comes the fun part. Shake that jar like your garden depends on it, because it does. Shake vigorously for at least 2 minutes, ensuring every particle is completely suspended in the water. You want the water to become completely cloudy with no visible settling during the shaking process. Reading your soil's story through settling layers. Once you've finished shaking, set the jar down and start your timer. The magic begins immediately as gravity sorts your soil particles by size and weight. Within the first few minutes, you'll see sand particles dropping to the bottom like tiny stones. Sand particles are the largest and heaviest, so they settle first, creating the bottom layer of your soil profile. After about 5 to 10 minutes, the silt particles begin to settle on top of the sand. Silt particles are smaller than sand but larger than clay, and they often give soil its smooth, flour-like texture. This middle layer represents your soil's ability to hold nutrients while still allowing decent drainage. The clay particles are the smallest and lightest, taking hours or even overnight to fully settle. Clay particles are so fine they can remain suspended in water for extended periods, which explains why clayey water takes so long to clear after heavy rains. This top layer, once it finally settles, reveals your soil's capacity for nutrient retention and water holding. After 24 hours, you'll have a clear picture of your soil's texture. Measure each layer and calculate the percentages. If sand makes up more than 50% of your soil, you're working with sandy soil. If clay dominates, you have clay soil. A relatively equal distribution of all 3 components indicates loamy soil, the gold standard that most gardeners dream of achieving. Interpreting your results for garden success. Sandy soil, identified by a thick bottom layer in your jar, drains quickly and warms up fast in spring, making it excellent for root vegetables and Mediterranean herbs. However, it also means nutrients wash away quickly, and you'll need to water more frequently. The solution isn't to fight your sandy soil but to work with it by adding organic matter regularly and choosing plants that thrive in well-draining conditions. Clay soil, revealed by a substantial top layer that takes forever to settle, holds nutrients exceptionally well and maintains consistent moisture. The challenge lies in its tendency to become waterlogged and compacted, which can suffocate plant roots. If your jar shows predominantly clay, focus on improving drainage through organic matter additions, and avoid working the soil when it's wet. Silty soil, indicated by a prominent middle layer, offers the best of both worlds in many ways, holding nutrients better than sand while draining better than clay. However, silt can become compacted easily, and may form a crust on the surface that prevents water infiltration. The ideal loamy soil shows roughly equal proportions of all three components, creating a soil that drains well while retaining nutrients and moisture. If your jar test reveals this golden ratio, consider yourself fortunate and focus on maintaining this balance through regular organic matter additions. The journey continues. Building on your foundation. This simple jar test opens the door to a deeper understanding of your garden's ecosystem. Once you know your soil texture, you can build on this knowledge with additional simple tests for pH and nutrient levels, creating a complete picture of your growing environment. Remember, gardening is a journey of continuous learning and observation. Your jar test provides the foundational knowledge that makes every other aspect of gardening more successful and enjoyable. The few minutes you spend shaking that jar and watching it settle will pay dividends throughout every growing season ahead. Your soil is telling you a story through those settling layers. Take the time to listen, and your garden will reward you with healthier plants, better harvests, and the deep satisfaction that comes from truly understanding the ground beneath your feet. Ready to transform your gardening game with this simple test? Grab that mason jar, head out to your garden, and discover what your soil has been trying to tell you all along. Don't forget to subscribe to Smart Garden for more science-backed gardening wisdom that turns complex concepts into simple, actionable steps. Share your jar test results in the comments below, and let's build a community of gardeners who grow smarter, not harder.